Should drivers fighting be something that NASCAR actually encourages? We got a full show today. How's it going, you guys? My name is Eric and welcome to Out of the Groove. Now today we're going to be talking about one of the more entertaining aspects, I think, of stock car racing, in my opinion. We're talking about fights. Drivers getting out of their cars and roughing it up with each other in some way or another. And I think it's a good time to kind of revisit this because this past weekend at Phoenix at ISM we saw our first real brawl of the year. And really the first real fight that I can think of in NASCAR Cup Series history, really in a couple of years. And this happened during qualifying. If you somehow missed it, Daniel Suarez and Michael McDowell were unhappy with each other after qualifying. Suarez came over to talk. McDowell started throwing some punches. Suarez took him down to the ground. Crew members had to split him up. It was kind of intense. I don't think any NASCAR fans expected two of the kind of friendliest guys in the garage area to actually get in a fight in qualifying, of all things. But in a lot of ways, that was the highlight of the weekend. I mean, yeah, sure, Kyle Busch got closer and closer to setting a potential record, all that type of stuff. Sure, the racing was decent. Ratings went up for the Phoenix race in the Cup Series. But at the end of the day, I think the most talked about story, the most shared clip from this entire weekend was that fight between Daniel Suarez and Michael McDowell. And so when I talked in my episode just a couple days ago about how the ratings went up for this year's Cup Series race at Phoenix, ended up actually being the most watched event of the weekend for the fourth straight weekend. So NASCAR's been on top for 4 weeks now. But in that episode, I talked about how I was kind of surprised because, Las Vegas went up in ratings because it was the debut of the new Aero package. So of course people were kind of interested. But with Phoenix, really didn't have any major storylines coming in. There was no new package really to change the racing at this track. It was kind of just another Phoenix race. So I was surprised that it went up in ratings. But when I stepped back and thought about it for a day or so, I thought, maybe it was that fight. That fight that happened on Friday might have caught some, casual race fans' attention and caused a few more of them to tune in for the actual race to see what would happen. That's my theory, at least, and I think it's a pretty legitimate one, perhaps. I mean, fighting has always been kind of an integral part of NASCAR's culture, NASCAR's DNA, perhaps, if you will. Of course, a lot of it starts with that famous fight at the end of the 1979 Daytona 500. That was the first Daytona race to be broadcast on television in its entirety, and with tens of millions of people around the country tuning in to see that epic finish and that crazy fight on national TV. A lot of people credit that with kind of being the start of NASCAR's rise in popularity. Now, after Daniel Suarez and Michael McDowell got into their little scuffle on Friday, NASCAR called them in later in the weekend to the NASCAR hauler to kind of talk to them about the issue. Some people were worried they might actually penalize those drivers to some extent, but no penalties came out of it. NASCAR basically said that they love the intensity, but they just want the drivers to keep it off the track. I think this is the perfect response from NASCAR. Yeah, the intensity's great. I mean, let's be honest, fights in any sport draw eyeballs, get people excited about it, And I like that NASCAR makes it very clear here that as long as you keep that type of stuff off the racetrack, we got no problems whatsoever. Now, NASCAR did make this pretty clear back in 2015 when they suspended Matt Kenseth for 2 races, even though Jeff Gordon did the same thing 3 years earlier and they didn't even consider suspension. But anyway, I think this was a perfect response from NASCAR. They're not encouraging fighting, but they're also not saying to not do it, which I think is the smart call. And that's kind of what they've been doing for a while now. I think NASCAR, for the most part, knows that, a little bit of fights, a little bit of drama, a little bit of scuffling here and there on pit road or wherever is good for the sport. It adds intrigue. It's fun. I mean, I know it's not really racing per se, but it is part of the entertainment factor that sets NASCAR apart from a lot of other racing series. So now this is why I kind of want to raise this question to not only you guys in the comments watching this video, but also kind of just to the NASCAR world in general. Should NASCAR encourage fights? I'm not saying they should go out there and tell the drivers to fight, but I'm just saying, I think they handled this McDowell-Suarez situation very well. They get into a fight, but NASCAR kind of just says, hey, do what you gotta do as long as it's not on the racetrack. I think that's the perfect response, and I personally think NASCAR should continue going down that route. But let me know what you guys think. Do you think NASCAR should have less tolerance towards fighting like this? I want to know, but allow me to kind of give my argument here. Like I said at the beginning, drivers fighting each other on the track, off the track is a large part of NASCAR's history. Even we can just look at the last 5-10 years, some of the most memorable moments from different NASCAR seasons are the fights. I mean, come on. You go on YouTube, NASCAR fights usually have just as many views, if not more, than NASCAR wrecks. And sure, occasionally you get some stinkers like this one right here. This one, you can't help but laugh a little bit at this one. But I think a lot of fans like fights because it allows you to kind of see a different side of some drivers you thought you knew. NASCAR has never been, and I don't think it ever really will be, a gentleman's sport. It's not golf, where you don't see any fights in golf. If you so much as step on a blade of grass the wrong way, I feel like they'll kick you off a golf course. NASCAR is not that. It may not be quite as rough or rugged as it was 30, 40 years ago, but it's still not a gentlemanly sport. NASCAR should definitely embrace the fighting aspect of their sport because I think it'll bring in new eyeballs and help kind of give NASCAR more of a unique identity when compared to other sports or definitely other racing series. And people love it. Here, if I go on NASCAR's YouTube channel from this last few days, the fight video that they upload of Daniel Suarez and Michael McDowell has 65,000 views. You look at all these other videos, 2,000, 2,000, 9,000, 2,000, 1,000, 4,000, 1,000, 2,000, 6,000, 897 views. The fight had 64,000 views. If I keep scrolling here, none of these videos have anywhere near the number of views that fight between Daniel Suarez and Michael McDowell. Not even two of the most popular guys in the garage area. Imagine if that was like Jimmy Johnson versus Kyle Busch. That number would be quadruple, but you keep scrolling here. 400 views. Okay, that was uploaded an hour ago. I guess that's not fair of me to say. But at the end of the day, you can see right there, NASCAR and fights are very, very popular. Basically, that just backs up my whole argument here. I mean, NASCAR, I've said this before, there's a lot of things NASCAR has been doing lately, I think, to kind of give itself its own identity as a racing series. You know, NASCAR's desperately trying to let fans know that it's not IndyCar, it's not F1, it's NASCAR. And what can NASCAR do that open wheel series can't do? They can race in huge packs at 2.5 mile speedways. That's why those races are often super duper popular. That's why with this new aero package, they're trying to add a little bit more of a pack racing element at some other tracks. Because that's what makes NASCAR different and that's what makes NASCAR unique from Formula One or other series around the world. And with Jim France now as the CEO, he has publicly said that he wants NASCAR to get back to basics. This is why we keep hearing rumors of NASCAR possibly bringing back some old fan favorite short tracks. This is why NASCAR has come out and basically said, we're not going to penalize these guys for fighting because that's kind of the ground NASCAR was built on. So I applaud NASCAR's management for this decision to not penalize Suarez, not penalize McDowell. They kind of went about this whole situation pretty much perfectly. They didn't overhype this fight. Like, you didn't go into Sunday afternoon saying like, oh, are we ready for McDowell Suarez part 2? Like, oh, I can't wait to see that. They didn't overhype it. They just, covered it on Friday. The interviews that both drivers gave after the fact were fantastic. They only added to the entertainment factor of this whole thing. So I think NASCAR and Fox and everybody handled this whole situation perfectly. They covered it perfectly. They used it in the exact right way they needed to use it to help promote the sport, help promote the race weekend. And in all honesty, I think that fight on Friday is the reason ratings went up 4% for the race on Sunday. But again, that's just my theory. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys like fighting in NASCAR? Do you think fights like this help NASCAR's ratings? Do you think it hurts its credibility? I'd be curious to know what you guys think. I think there's a lot of arguments around this, but I hope I made an enticing argument at least. Thanks for watching, everyone. Remember to subscribe if you're new. Man, we're getting close to 100,000 subscribers here. That's a milestone. Never thought I'd even sniff. And now we're starting to get pretty close. So thank you guys so much for the support there. Remember, you can follow me on Twitter or Instagram. Those links are down in the description. Also down there, you can get yourself your own Out of the Groove t-shirt. If you want to support me, represent the show, definitely check those out down there, as well as my P.O. Box address. You can send me some cool NASCAR stuff and I'll show it off and shout you out in an upcoming video. I'll do that again pretty darn soon. And then, of course, a huge thank you to my amazing Patreon supporters. Shout out to Michael Harrison at GWiz of the Stars, SelfishGifts.com, Mentally Defective, Cameron James, John Koblenz, Tim Shingen, Jason Arlong, Wesley Donaldson, Isaac Dennison, Mika Suzuki, iFantasyRace.com, and Adam Lean, and the rest of these amazing Patreon supporters. Thank you guys so much for your continued support. If you too want to support the show and support what we're doing over here, you can check out that top link down in the description. You guys help me out a ton, and I greatly appreciate it. I might have another video up later this week. I'm not sure yet if I'll have one up on Friday, but if you don't see me until after the race on Sunday, hope you guys have a great rest of your week. I'm looking forward to the Auto Club race this week, and I think it could be a real wild card. Really not sure what we're going to see. Could be fun, could be, we'll see though. I'm excited to watch. Hope you guys are too. Thanks for watching today's episode. See you guys again very, very soon. Bye, y'all.